So carbon always forms 4 covalent bonds, and then it can be a straight chains, branchings, and rings. So you can see that this one here, we have a specific name, we call it hydrocarbon. This is called hydrocarbon. It is called hydrocarbon because the entire molecule contains only carbon atom and hydrogen atom. Similarly, all these are also hydrocarbon. But this one here is what we call benzene ring. I just mentioned it in the previous slides, benzene ring. And we will talk more about benzene in the next few slides. It is a carcinogen. It can cause cancer. And you can see that, hey, what's that? You know, this 3 line together and 2 line here. 2 line here. We call the 2 lines double bond. The 3 line, we call that triple bond. So as you can see in here, well, 1 carbon attached to 3 hydrogen. Do you still remember the name of this molecule? Well, some of you may, some of you already forgot. This 1 carbon attached to 4 hydrogen, we call it methane. As you can see in this very large molecule here, all carbon form 4 covalent bonds. But in this molecule here, you can see that carbon still form 4 covalent bond. So let me show you. So 1 covalent bond, 2 covalent bond, and then 3, 4 covalent bond here. So similarly, 1 covalent bond here, and then 2 covalent bond here, and then 3 and 4 covalent bond here. So each carbon form 4 covalent bond, but in this case, 2 covalent bond, they are in the form of double bond. Similarly, the carbon here also form 4 covalent bond, 1 covalent bond here, and then 3 covalent bond here. So the triple bond counts as 3 covalent bond. So here are some examples of a simple straight chain hydrocarbon. The first one, as you remember, it is 1 carbon that form 4 covalent bonds with hydrogen. If you remember from previous slides, we call that methane. Methane gas is smells really bad. It smells like rotten eggs. The second molecule, we have 2 carbon, so we call it ethane. Start with E. The third one, it has 3 carbon, we call it propane. This propane is the same propane gas in the gas canister, propane canister, that we use it for barbecue. For Asian people, we like to do hot pot. Then we also use a propane canister into the gas stove that we use for hot pot. So American use propane for barbecue. Asian people use the propane gas for hot pot. Yeah. Last one, 4 carbon, we call it butane. So you can see that, okay, we talk about methane, ethane, propane, and butane. The name of these molecules depends on the number of carbon. If we continue 5 carbon, then it will be pentane. 6 carbon, hexane. 7 carbon, heptane. 8 carbon, octane. 9 carbon, nonane. 10 carbon, decane. So what you need to know is the prefix of the number. So this is when you learn organic chemistry, you need to memorize this. So in our class, you also need to know the number of carbon from 1 to 10 and the prefix of the name. Well, in the previous slides, we learned about different number of carbon. They have different names. For example, if it is 6 hydrocarbon strict chain, we call it hexane. But there are some exceptions to this rule. For example, when we have something called a benzene ring, benzene ring is also a 6 carbon molecules. It's also 6 carbon hydrocarbon molecule. But we do not call it hexane. We call it aromatic compounds because benzene, this molecule, give people a fruity, sweet smells. That's why we call it aromatic. It has a strong smells. It is a 6 carbon molecule formed with single bond and double bond. And the number of carbon, they only have 6 number of hydrogen and 6 number of carbon. The reason is that they form double bond between carbon alternately, so that each carbon still form 4 covalent bond. So one covalent bond formed with a hydrogen, the other covalent bond formed with one covalent bond formed with the hydrogen atom, the other covalent bond formed with another carbon atom. And then you have the double bond, meaning that it is 2 covalent bond formed with a carbon atom. So they still form 4 covalent bond. But what's so special about benzene ring? Yes, for first reason, benzene ring give a strong smell. Second reason is that benzene ring is actually carcinogenic. That means it causes cancer. We'll talk more about this in the next few slides. So for aromatic compounds, how do we define it? Well, as long as they have at least one benzene ring, then we call it aromatic compounds. They, as I mentioned before, they have a strong aroma or strong smell, strong odor. When do you get it? Whenever you char or burn something. For example, if you are having a barbecue, and then you overcook your chicken or you overcook your meat, your steak, then the chicken or the steak on the surface, it will turn black. So the black char on the surface of your chicken or steak, that contains benzene. And they are carcinogen. That means they are they will cause cancer. So let me give you some example here. Toluene, or the scientific name should be methylbenzene. Where can you find it? You can find from model glue. In other words, some teenager, they like to sniff glue so that they can get high. This is a very bad practice, because the model glue, they have benzene in it. So if they sniff the model glue to get high, they will actually getting carcinogen into their body. And then that is called naphthalene. Naphthalene is the mothballs. So the mothball that we use, the reason why they can get rid of all the bugs or insects in our closet, the reason is that they are also carcinogen. It will cause cancer. And also this is a phenanthrene. Phenanthrene. This is a key compound in organic synthesis. Well, I don't know too much about this one. Sorry about that. So here we give you some evidence why benzene ring is a carcinogen. People who work in industry with high benzene exposure, they have higher rate of leukemia and other blood cancer. So what are the people? For example, in the past, mechanics or they finish repairing a car, then their hands become greasy. So the practice of the mechanics is that they wash their hand in benzene, because benzene is an organic molecule, and they are very good at removing the grease and oil on the hands. And because the mechanics, they like to wash their hands in benzene, then many of the mechanics, they develop leukemia and other form of cancers. And then experiment. For the lab animals, if we expose them with benzene, we force them to inhale or swallow benzene, then they will develop different types of tumor. And then we have a cell culture of bone marrow cells. That means we keep the bone marrow cell in a dish, and then we add benzene into it. Then we can see chromosome changes of those bone marrow cells. And so it is similar to the human leukemia cell as well. Alcohol, it is characterized by OH group, or we call hydroxyl group. Whenever we put OL at the end of the word, like methanol, we have an OL at the end, ethanol, OL at the end. That means it will have a hydroxyl group and OH group. So this one, A, is methanol. So this is A in here. This is methanol. And then this is ethanol. Ethanol, as you can see, that ethanol has 2 carbon here. So it follows the same name nomenclature, or the naming system as we learn about hydrocarbon. 1 carbon is Me, 2 carbon is ETH. So 1 carbon is METH, sorry. 2 carbon is ETH. And then instead of calling it methane, we change the last letter E into OL, become methanol. Instead of calling it ethane, so we replace the last letter E with OL, it becomes ethanol. And some of you may have already known that ethanol means alcohol. So we can find ethanol in wine, beer, or something like that.